Hello, and welcome to Sponge Stories, the podcast for face painters by face painters. I'm Siobhan, the face behind Theatrics Faces, and I'm on a mission to lift the lid on what it really takes to build a face painting business, the good, the messy, and everything in between. Each episode, I'll be chatting to artists, industry experts, and real working face painters about the things that we don't always talk about. Pricing struggles, burnout, confidence, boundaries, growth, and how to actually make this job work for your life. So whether you're painting your first full face or juggling a fully booked diary this year, you're in the right place. Let's get straight into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Sponge Stories. Today, I'm joined by Jane from Daisy Jane's Face Painting. With nearly 10 years in the industry, she has built an instantly recognisable brand, a hugely successful face painting business, and become a much loved and respected part of the community. Jane has very generously agreed to share some of her ongoing experience with grief, alongside the realities of working in a job built around joy, even when life behind the scenes is incredibly difficult. She is also going to share with us some of her favourite moments from the industry, plenty of behind-the-scenes stories, and advice from her years of experience. So hi, Jane, and welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Can you tell us a bit about you and how Daisy Jane Face Painting first began?
So I come from a background of working with children, and I worked in social services as family support and specifically as child behaviour specialist for almost 20 years. That was kind of my career. But I have various health issues, and one of the main ones is chronic migraine, and the work was very stressful, which was a huge trigger. So I kind of battled for many years trying to work and be well and things like that. Eventually, I couldn't do it anymore. It was really affecting my mental health. So I ended up leaving. And then I thought, what am I going to do? Because this was what I trained for and this was my career. It's all I knew. So I just got little jobs. I worked in Waitrose for a little bit and I worked in a cafe for a bit. And through all those years, when I worked in, I worked in Sure Start centres and children and family centres, different things. Every now and then we'd have fun days. And I was the arty one. So I'd get the little ice cream tub full of Snazaroo paints thrusted at me and I'd be the face painter. And everybody always used to say, you ought to do this. You'll be so good. And I was working full time. So I didn't want to use up my weekends as well. I just couldn't have coped with that. So I'd kind of got into it as a bit of a hobby and I did a lot of special effects at home just for fun and things. And so, when my income took a massive hit, I ended up trying to think of other things that I could do to try and increase my income, and face painting was one of those things. So in 2016, the end of 2016, I started to kind of really practice. And then I had my first paid party booking in January of 2017. And that's when Daisy Jane's Face Painting was created. And I did that alongside a part-time job for about 3 months. And then I had to have an operation on my shoulder, so I had to be off that job for a while I rested. And while I was off for 8 weeks, I thought, right, I'm going to really focus on the face painting and really try and sort out pushing it. And I did, and I got lots of bookings. And then I never went back to the other job, and I just went full steam ahead on my face painting. And that's how I am. It's 9.5 years later.
Wow, nearly 10 years. That's incredible. And what would you say in that 10 years, when you look back, what are you the most proud of?
I think it's hard because I have a bit of imposter syndrome. I think like a lot of us, and I never really think of myself like that. But I think probably just doing it, like just being brave enough to do it. I think I was brave enough to quit my career, which I think a lot of people dream of, don't they? They get stuck into this thing where they feel like they can't quit. I come to a crossroads where I didn't really have a choice and I had to do it. I just think doing it, thinking I can do this and then pushing through and then doing it, and just the sheer level of hard work, because people often say to me, how do I work every weekend? How do I get the amount of jobs that I get? It isn't luck. There's so much more than just going to the events and doing the face painting, there is a lot of behind the scenes kind of hard work, admin kind of stuff, marketing, all of that. It's really time consuming, and and for a lot of people it isn't their full time job, so they have another job to do. So it's got to be really difficult for them to try and do that at the same level because it's so time consuming. And if you were working another full time job or something, you wouldn't have the time, would you? Yeah. So I think just
Honestly,
doing
and,
it.
like, we're all bad for it, like, replying late at night.
Yeah. We get a lot of messages late at night. So we answer late at night, but we get messages late at night. But that's normally because it's parents that are contacting us and it's their only 3 minute. So I know
Mm.
it can be quite frustrating, like when you get those really late at night, you think, "Oh, well, I just want some time off or it's my time to rest." But I always just think realistically, that is when parents are gonna have that time. So I'm normally quite forgiving about it and I'll just respond as soon as I can really and work with them.
How has your style and your sort of, like, approach changed since you first started? Because 'Cause you've got a very sort of distinctive style, haven't you? We were just talking about your branding, but your face painting style, it's so lovely. It's so it's so
Oh,
aesthetically
thank
pleasing on
you.
your Instagram page as well, isn't it?
Thank you.
How has that changed? Did you always have that sort of style, or did it develop and evolve?
Yeah, I think it definitely developed. I think when I first started, I really felt mindful that I didn't have a style, like because I hadn't found it yet. And I think for a lot of newbies, that's something they need to kind of understand and be gentle with themselves about. Like they won't know yet. My style, I kind of tried everything when I first started. I'd search the groups, find different designs that I'd like, and I'd try it, watch lots of tutorials. YouTube was a big, that's where I watched most of my tutorials when I started. And I just try the different things. And I used to try the one stroke butterflies, which I love. And I've painted some lovely one stroke butterflies, but over time I just found what I like to do more and what I prefer and what I think is more my style and what's more me, which is more the kind of really bright, bold, clean lines. Everybody always says it looks like a sticker's been stuck onto a face kind of thing. And that's just,
Yeah.
yeah, that tends to be just my how I like to do it, how I'm a bit, I'm a perfectionist. It's just something that's in me. But yeah, it brings me joy and it brings the children joy and the families joy. So I think that's how I ended up with it. But and my branding, that's evolved a little bit as well. Like I've tried different things with that until I finally found, like, when you can picture something in your head what you want, but then when you try to put it on paper, it's just not coming out. So I tried different things over the
Mm.
years for a couple of years. And then, yeah, eventually I worked. There's an amazing illustrator called Katie Aby, and
Okay.
I met her at an event. I used to follow her for on Instagram for ages, and just loved her work and her style. And then she came to one of my events one day with her little girl. So I met her, and I think she followed me. I think she followed me on Instagram. And then one day I just messaged her and I said, "Would you do branding? Like, would you like design my logo, my branding, and everything?" And yeah, so I got her to do that for me. And then she just nailed it. She came up with a few different things. And then one day she just sent it, and I was like, "That is it." Yeah. So that's how that came about.
I love it. And it's so beautiful. It's so professional and it's so identifiable as well. But what I'll do is if you send me her details, I'll pop her details in the description at the bottom of the podcast when this goes out, because I think we've all got many strings to our bows, but some people, Matt was chatting the other day about outsourcing bits that are going to save you time. And if you can pay someone to do some really clear, distinctive branding for you, worth its weight in gold. Because
Mhm.
like I said, your page is just beautiful and it just
And I've
looks
much
so well branded and so coherent.
Thank you. Yeah, that was the vision. That was always my vision. That's always what I wanted. And I could, I am creative. I can draw. I could have done something myself, but I think like most artists, you're kind of your own worst critic. So anything that I ever did, I just saw things that I didn't like about it. It wasn't quite right. It just wasn't happening, and it was kind of almost that I had a bit of a block, and I was like, I know what I want, but I just can't get it right. Yeah, so I think to collaborate with somebody else, it just takes that little bit of pressure away, and I think I'd much rather do that as well, like employ another um artist, or self-employed small business, or somebody in that kind of specialism to do it. That I know it. it's easy, isn't it, in a minute, because AI is much more affordable because you could probably do it for free, but they are coming out and they're quite similar. So whereas if perhaps you went to somebody else, you might get something completely unique.
Mm.
And that's the most important thing really with branding, that it's got to really stand out and be completely unique so people recognize you.
Yeah, 100%. And I would say that because as soon as you see your little logo come up on Instagram, it does. It's so clear. It just stands out straight away in a sea of others that could look quite similar. It's been really well
It's
done.
e- it's even worked locally. The amount of parents that will see me like in shopping centres or um, when I'm out doing public events, they see my Daisy from miles away and they'll say the kids see it or the kids saw your van and when Daisy Jane's here, like because they've been to a party and they've seen me, like even the children recognise my Daisy. They probably can't read it, they're 3 and 4, but they recognise it. That's exactly what it is, isn't it? You see the McDonald's arches, you know it's McDonald's. So yeah,
Mm.
I just love it. It's like as soon as she sent it to me, I was like, that's it. I just love it so much.
Well, you've done such a good job on the branding that I've been spending all day trying to train myself to not call you Daisy. I know your name is Jane, and I'm like, I have to remember, but it's because it's like burned in my mind, the Daisy, and the fact that it
That's
says
fine.
Daisy Janes. And I was like, cannot,
Yeah.
cannot slip up and call her Daisy.
You can, but everybody does. It's fine. Initially, when people started to do it, when I first became Daisy Janes, I wouldn't answer to Daisy. Like somebody would be going, Daisy, Daisy, Daisy. And then I'd be like, oh, are you talking to me? But now I do answer to Daisy Jane as well. I chose it because I like daisies.
You,
I like the whole rainbow daisy idea, but also I just thought it was more memorable because Daisy Jane sounds like daisy chains. So again, it was
yeah.
just like it was memorable. So that's where that came from.
What do you love most about the job?
I think working with children. I've always loved working with children. So yeah, children's events are my favourite events. I do adult events as well and I enjoy them, but my heart is with like anything like the interaction with the children, the mirror moment with the children when they especially when they love it. I mean sometimes it's still quite funny, isn't it, when they're very stone faced and they kind of just look at themselves like I find that very funny. But yeah, that's
It's like they need a couple of minutes to process it, don't they? Because like you show them and you're thinking, I don't know if they're happy. And you sort of look at the parent and the parent's like, no, they do
yeah.
like it. They do like
Yeah,
it.
the parents say it
They're
so
just
many times.
processing.
They do really like it. I'm like, that's fine. I just love it. I don't laugh out loud, but inside I'm laughing. I just find that it really tickles me. Yeah, and I think I'm probably just working for myself. Like I think there's nothing like working. I can't ever imagine being employed again and having somebody else be your boss and tell you if you can have the day off or just like little things like that. I know what I'm doing and so I like the flexibility
Yeah.
of working for myself.
Do you think that people underestimate the sort of emotional energy involved in working in children's entertainment and always having to be on and happy?
100%. Yeah, it's really hard. I think all of us have like a mask, don't we? That when we're going, even if you're having a good day, I think as soon as you walk in that front door, something else takes over. So I always just think, well, you have the mask that you put on when you go to work, and then you get back in your van or your car, and you're like, oh. And it is exhausting. Like I think you get home, it's a physically exhausting job, but it's really mentally exhausting because every child, if you're painting 100 children in one day, you want that 100th child to feel the same level of energy and feeling of how special it is as the first child. So your energy's got to match that and your enthusiasm's got to match that. And to do that for 6 hours is exhausting. And then when you then even just take into
Especially when
account,
you're tired.
yeah, yeah. Or if you're having a particularly bad day. Like I have social anxiety, I have general anxiety, I've had depression in the past. We all go through different things at different times. So, you've got real life things that can make it hard as well. Like you don't
Mm.
particularly feel happy, but you've got to go there and you've got to be on and appear happy.
Have your migraines improved since being able to work for yourself it's still a physically demanding, a mentally demanding job, but I suppose it's less high pressure because you've got that flexibility. Has that helped with your health?
Yeah, yeah, it massively. And there are things that can still trigger it. I think just immediately taking away the pressure of constantly stressing about having a back to work meeting because I'd had a migraine one day, that was a huge
Mm,
stress. The level of stress just in the job that I did anyway was really high because if you miss something, if you see a family and there's something that you miss, you've always got that worry that, oh my goodness, what if something happens? So there's that level of stress. And I think just over the years, like I've suffered with migraines since I was in my late teens. So
mm,
majority of my life, I know myself really well. I know how they are. So although there's things now, if I get too tired, if I'm too hungry, if I'm too hot, if I have things on my head, like I probably have a headache after this from my headphones. Struggle to put my hair up.
mm,
I can't wear cats. So many different things that trigger my head. I just have to work around it all the time. And so I'm quite careful about the jobs that I take on. That's good that I work for myself so I can make those decisions. And I just, if there's something that I know is going to be too much for me, like if it's a 12-hour day or something, then I might subcontract that to one of my friends and not do it myself. Or if
mm,
I could probably do that, but if it was a multi day, like sometimes you get offered like a 2 or 3 day. And if it's 12 hours each day, I am not going to cope with that because that would give me migraine. I'd just be too tired. So I might do one of those
mm.
days or two of those days and then get people to subcontract. So I just have to work with it all the time. But yeah, my health in general has been so much better since I've had that control and the stress is gone. I have more rest time. So that all helps. Yeah. It's just a constant battle of managing it, which I suppose is like a lot of people that have got different chronic illnesses and things. You learn to work around it.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to the return to work interview. Just like I remember having them on a few occasions. I think working with screens used to give me migraines because I don't get them anymore. But I know when I worked in an office when I was in my early 20s, I don't know if it was that and maybe my hormones because of the contraception I was on, but I used to get migraines so frequently. And they're like, you know, when you feel one coming and you're in the office and you're like, I need to go home now
Mm,
before this gets any worse because otherwise we're
yeah,
all in trouble.
you're not going anywhere.
People just get headaches or have never had a migraine don't necessarily understand how debilitating they are. And I used to hate sitting in the return to work interview with some jumped up middle manager, some bloke in a suit and tie that was like, so it was a headache. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, it was a headache. Thank you.
Yeah,
So yeah.
no. I'd still be here if it was a headache. And I I've I have Botox for migraine now, so I've had that well, I don't maybe 8 years or more.
Mm,
About every 12 to 14 weeks, I have my Botox at neurology, which really helps. It wasn't until I started to have that I realised I had a headache every day. I lived with a headache, and then I'd have migraines
wow.
multiple times a week as well. So just from having the Botox just took those daily headaches away, but I'd lived with it for so long that I didn't realise that pain was just constantly there. And I thought, so yeah, it's like, yeah, I can be here and I can do things with a headache, but a migraine's completely different. It's completely different.
Yeah. But even living every day with a headache must have been exhausting, living with pain.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I think definitely, but I think when you're in that situation, you almost just learn to accept it. Like I always say I've got quite a high
Yeah.
pain tolerant, high pain threshold. I think because I've had so much pain and I accept a lot of pain. So when I've gone to the doctors, there was one point I was told that I had acid reflux and I'd suffered with that for 8 years and I'd been given medication for it. They didn't do anything, but like once a week, I'd have horrific nights where I'd be up all night in such pain. It was Now I look back, I think I can't believe I went through that. I'd be on the floor in a ball, like in so much pain. But I knew eventually it would go. And I'd been to the doctors and they just gave me codeine and um, stronger acid reflux tablets. And then after 8 years, they were doing an ultrasound for my liver or something and realised my gallbladder was packed with gallstones. And my
I
acid
knew you
reflux
were going to
wasn't
say this.
it wasn't acid reflux, it was gallbladder attacks. And I know people now that have one gallbladder attack and then have had their gallbladder removed and they've said, it is so painful. I said, yeah, I had it for 8 years, nearly every week. It was Horrific.
I had it for 7 years. I can relate to this genuinely relate to this so much. And I went to hospital on several occasions, but because they dismissed me every time and saying, "Oh, it's just indigestion. It's just indigestion." And I was thinking, I don't think this is indigestion. I think I might be
Yeah.
dying at this point. Like the pain, I used to pass out from the shock of the pain. My husband would find me like curled up in a ball of sweat on the bathroom floor where my body had gone into shock just from the amount of pain that I was in. And it
Yeah.
took 7 years of going back probably once a year and saying, something's not right, something's not right, being dismissed and gaslit and told me that it was just indigestion, to eventually having an ultrasound and them saying, oh, yeah, you have several gallstones. And then I still had to wait a year and a half to be able to have it removed.
Really?
It was hell. I mean, I passed out once at a client's house and then they had to ring an ambulance because I was, again, unconscious on the floor. It was just it was really horrible, and
Mm.
I don't even think I have a very high pain threshold either. But do you know, I think your body knows. I knew it wasn't indigestion.
Yeah. But what can you do? Because you're just listening to the doctors, aren't you? And if they're telling you, well, it's this, I'm like, oh, okay, then it must be, because what do I know? I'm not a doctor. You're telling me to take these tablets, I'll take these tablets. But yeah, eventually when I'd had it out, luckily for me, once they found it, they said they couldn't even see the walls of my gallbladder because it was so packed. And then I think within 8 weeks I'd had it out, and it just changed my life. I could, and I didn't obviously have to be on any of those tablets anymore. So I was like, it's so
Uh,
frustrating. But yeah, I don't even know how we've got onto this
yeah,
conversation
there's
about
nothing
gallbladder.
worse than the fear. I know, I don't, I'm just like, I found someone else that had their gallbladder out. I'm so excited. This is really hard to describe how painful it is. And
Mm,
especially like for me, my mum also had it when she was my age because I think it runs in the family. And for her, she had certain food that triggered it. But for me, there was no food trigger. Sometimes I'd literally just eat a salad and it would trigger it. So there was people were saying, "Oh, don't eat. It's if you eat something fatty or if this." But for me, anything could trigger it. And it was genuinely like I lived in a sort of like fear all the time of that slow burn because I'd get probably a 5-minute warning and I could feel it coming. And because you'd think, "Where's that chap?" No, God, it's coming, it's coming, and I'd be
mm,
panicking. And then, like, I suppose once I knew what it was, I was able to sort of went down to the bathroom. I used to take Buscopan and ibuprofen and codeine and then a hot water bottle and try and run back upstairs and lay on my left side and hopefully go to sleep before it would really kick in and
mm,
stuff. But yeah, it's very freeing now not having it because I don't
yeah.
live in fear of what I'm going to eat anymore.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's an awful thing.
Although now I can eat whatever I want, I have found it more difficult to to restrain myself. So I only had it out last year, so yeah, I'm still adjusting. I'm trying to rein myself back in. So one of the questions that I've got written here is that has face painting become part of your identity after doing it for so many years?
Gone blank.
It's
I
okay.
don't know.
Can leave it.
I
This
think
doesn't really make sense as a question anyway. I think I was thinking as
has it
well, like,
become my
because you've just started a nail
identity?
business, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. Which that all kind of came about middle of last year, and that's kind of been in the works for almost a year now. And it was just to try and give me a bit more time off at weekends because I do work every weekend face painting,
Oh,
and that obviously the impacts on your social life and seeing friends and family and things because everybody else works Monday to Friday. And then I'm always working Saturday, Sunday, or through the holidays. So I just wanted to get something that I could run alongside, just to allow me to have maybe one weekend off a month so I can see friends and family really. Yeah, so um yeah, and it is a bit weird because I have been a face painter for so long, and I don't know if it's like part of my identity. But I suppose it's like any job that you do for a long time, it kind of becomes part of who you are. And I suppose because I think
mm.
I was a child behaviour specialist for nearly 20 years, so it's in some way I still feel like I'm that as well. But yeah, so I don't really know how to answer that.
Do you feel like your experience as a child behavioural specialist helps when doing the face painting role?
Yeah, yeah. I have the patience of a that I have the of a saint. So much patience. And I think I'm quite good at predicting behaviours. Like I can keep my eye on the cue, and I know perhaps how each child's perhaps going to react. I expect them all to do things unknown, grab my paints, grab my brush, but I don't mind any of that.
Mm.
I'm quite calm and know just how to manage it. So I suppose that I don't it doesn't stress me out at all. And I know for some people it is quite stressful, isn't it? And I suppose I've got lots of different ways of communicating with children, and I've worked with lots of children with autism and ADHD and different kind of issues and over the years. So I suppose I've just got a lot of little tricks up my sleeve kind of thing that I can kind of pull out and try this and try that and just gauge if it's going to be something that's going to work or not. And which I think it's kind of something that a lot of us have anyway, isn't it? That you can kind of just tell if a child's not going to sit for it, and you'd just rather leave it and let that child be happy than try and stress them out to do the face paint. But on the
Yeah.
whole, yeah, I think it does really help. It's also really helped, I think, in the business side, because I didn't have any business training, didn't have any marketing training. But through the work that I used to do, I used to be responsible for doing like a neighbourhood newsletter and for the area that we covered. So
Mm.
I used to put all of that together. I used to design it and do all the copy, edit it, and then I used to write so many reports and emails every day, and obviously on the phone to different professionals and things like that. So they're all really transferable skills. So I suppose that's
Mm.
helped me, even though I didn't have any kind of business training. They're transferable skills into doing something like that. So yeah, I think that's helped.
Are you okay do you feel okay to move on to the next section?
Yeah, yeah. We'll just do my best. Yeah, that's fine.
So earlier this year, you shared the heartbreaking news that your partner passed away very suddenly. And I just wanted to say that on behalf of the entire face painting community, that we are so sorry for your loss. And I also wanted to say a big thank you for being willing to speak about something so personal. And without discussing anything that you don't want to, what has this year looked like for you emotionally while still trying to continue working and running a business?
Whew, thank you. It's been the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. I think really I think there's something like a survival mode that kicks in and just gets you through every day. And it's kind of been a bit of a bubble, like it's been 4 months, but it doesn't feel like any time at all to me. So I feel like I'm literally just going day by day and just doing the best that I can. And I have to work. I can't not work because it's only my income now. And obviously, because of my health needs, I could really only ever work kind of part time because I need that rest time. Um,
Mm.
so he supported a lot financially, and so it's been really difficult because I haven't got that now. Um, so I've had to just continue, and I can only just say that I don't know how I've done it. I've done it, and I'm doing it, and I've just got to keep doing a day at a time and just keep doing my best, really.
So, one thing I kept thinking about after I saw your post on Instagram was how difficult it must be to step into birthday parties and other events that are celebrating and joyful events, carrying that grief privately while everyone around you is celebrating and happy. And how have you found that?
I think that's been the hardest thing. Um, the first few weeks, the first week back in January that I'd got parties booked, my amazing friends all covered like all my parties that first week. just to give me a bit of extra time. And then I think the next week I only had like one or something. Um, but that was the hardest thing, because I didn't want to be there. And I was also really lucky that actually the first few parties that I had booked in January were all repeat customers that had booked me for birthday parties like 2, 3, or 4 times before. So I knew the families quite well. So I spoke to them, I was really honest and said, look, you might not want me to come because I might cry. But they were all like, no, we want you to come. So I went, and it was very bizarre. It was, I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I did it, because I don't think I smiled for weeks and weeks. Um, and I remember just sitting painting and thinking, what am I doing? Like, it seems so pointless. And I know logically it's not. I know in my logical side of my brain, like how much joy and entertainment and how worthwhile face painting is. But in the scheme of things at that moment, I just thought, what? I can't do this anymore. I can't. It's. I'm not going to be able to do it. Um, yeah, it was really hard. I it still is much easier as well with the children. I find it much easier to put my mask on and just carry on with children. I get a bit panicked when I have to do more interaction with adults. I just, adults, I think they're just a bit more, they pick up on your mood and things like that. So I'm really mindful that I probably am not as cheery or enthusiastic as I used to be. Um, but it has also got easier as the weeks go on, and the more I do, the easier it has got. And I think, I talked about that mask that you have earlier when you need to be on. It's
Mm.
I'm having to find a new mask because the old mask isn't cutting it. So I'm finding my new way to do it. But that has been the hardest thing, because the last place you want to be is somewhere where everybody's happy and dancing and laughing, when I think I've got nothing to be happy and laughing and dancing about.
Have there been moments where the face painting has helped in any way? Um, so I was thinking, as a routine, as something to practice at home, just going over the like repetitive strokes, like as a distraction, or I suppose interacting with the children. Um, has it helped at all, or
I think so, yeah, as hard as it has been, I think like just every job helps a little bit, because it's breaking up the day. It's
mm,
it Yeah, I think interacting with the children, like there's something th that's really helpful in that. And because they just don't know, and they just want to talk about whatever face paint they like, and it so it's just a good distraction, isn't it, away from reality. And just painting in itself is quite therapeutic. And um so yeah, just kind of going through the motions of doing it is helpful. um so yeah, it probably has. But I think just doing anything, I'm just keeping busy. I've probably been the most productive in the last 4 months than I have in the last 2 years, because I'm just keeping myself as busy as possible, because I can't just sit and I wait a minute, I can't. The thought of what will happen if I don't keep busy is too bad.
when we were chatting, when we were sending some voice notes, before the recording session today, you said that lots of people got in touch with you from the face painting community when you sort of put the post on Instagram.
Hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about anything people said or did that genuinely helped during that time?
I couldn't really think of anything like anybody specifically said. Like there was a lot of messages from so many people and so many people that I've never met. This is what tips me over the edge because it's all the kindness and just how amazing people have been. Everything's just really helped, and it's just so nice to know that it was such a supportive community. And I really wanted to. Oh, it's so hard to get out. I'm sure a lot of people know that my friend Sally set up a GoFundMe in January. I just thought this would be a really good opportunity to kind of just say thank you to everybody who, who gave to the GoFundMe because it's helped so much. And I'm so grateful. I really could just
We-
never thank people. I just could never thank people enough. People were so generous and I never expected it. I just, there's nothing. Thank you doesn't seem enough. I wish I could express it any differently, but it has just really, really helped me. Made these first few months just a bit easier. Just meant the world.
Did your perspective on work or life change at all after everything happened?
Everything changed. I think I changed like almost immediately. Um, oh, sorry, my dog wants to come up. Um,
Good. We need him.
yeah, good boy. Um, I've seen pictures of me before, and it's almost like I don't recognise that person. Like didn't really realise how happy I was, and I'll never feel like that again. I think that just really fundamentally changes you, and it does just feel like nothing else is really that important. Things that I worried about before don't really seem that important. Doesn't like it's that whole doesn't really matter in the big scheme of things, does it? And I think when something so horrific and traumatic happens, that's not you don't really understand that until something like that really happens. But yeah, I think and a bit like when I was initially doing those parties, and in my head I was just thinking, what am I doing? This is a complete waste of time. Like it's a pointless. Like literally in my head was saying face painting's pointless. I know that's not true, but I suppose I just have a lot to get through in my
Mm.
yeah. I suppose my head's just going to think a lot of different things, um, and your brain throws a lot of things at you, don't, and they're not always true. Like I think you have to
Yeah.
be mindful that some of the things your brain tells you are not true. and just to keep going. Um, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing. And um, but yeah, I suppose some of the things that perhaps I used to worry about work, I don't worry about so much.
So, out of nearly 10 years of painting, what's been your absolute favourite gig and why?
This is really hard. Like, I've thought about this a lot because there's been hundreds. Like, I've never actually, I ought to do that one day, is actually count how many I've actually done. Like, I would normally know through invoices, but I changed my invoicing system a couple of times. So they kind of restart the number.
Yeah.
So it hasn't, so I don't actually know off the top of my head how many I've done, but there must be hundreds of jobs. So yeah, I think one that sticks out was the last couple of years there's been a job that I've been involved in for a large corporate um, where they've had 12 face painters.
Wow.
It's like a 6-hour job, 12 face painters. We've done it the last couple of years. The first year especially was really sunny, so it was really, really lovely. So I'd say that was probably my favourite because I think any time you get to work with other artists is really nice. Like they're the best jobs. And having 12 of us was crazy. It was like a jam. It was almost like our own jam at a
Oh,
job.
wow.
It was so, so much fun, and the level of talent in the tent was incredible. So that was really fun, and the whole thing was like a mini festival, like the event was like a mini festival
Wow.
with all the rides and stunt planes going over, and yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, but I can't give you any details.
What's the busiest or most chaotic job or a job that you've worked that had a queue that just never seemed to end?
They are always the shopping centre jobs, the free to public shopping centre jobs. I think one was it? I can't. It might have been Halloween. I think it was Halloween. Um, and I think the queue was 2 hours long, and it was just me painting. Like
My good.
that was bonkers. I mean, when it's like that, I mean, I was obviously going as fast as I could and doing quick designs, under 2 minute designs. Yeah, I kind of think, why are you even queuing that long? I just think I would be saying, I'm sorry, but that lady's ran out of face paint now. We need to go home. Like, I just can't imagine queuing for 2 hours for a face paint. It was the length of the shopping centre. And there was a queue as similarly for the balloon guy, just one balloon guy on his own.
Oh my God.
I think I would be making up every excuse to not queue when it was that long. But I think
Yeah.
an
I do a
hour's
lot
a
of the
long queue.
parks closing now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's crazy. 2.5
So
hours.
I think that's the one, like a 2 hour long queue. And it was, yeah, it just
Mm.
felt like it was never going to end, and it was just so busy, and I was just like hammering them out. Absolutely exhausting. And then trying to close a queue on your
How did you
own
close the
and
line?
with difficulty. I always have a sign that I turn, like an A board that I turn around,
Mm,
that says it's closed and the instructions, and that I'd given everybody. I think at that time I was just doing numbers on hands still. So I went to the
mm.
back of the queue, put the high vis on and numbered them all. And then I just had to cut it. There were still people queuing. Not everybody in that queue was going to get painted. I think I closed it like an hour before, or an hour and a half. I think it was an hour and a half before I closed. And then there was one particular guy that just stood next to my kit for the whole hour and a half because he didn't get a number. Um, and he was, and I said, and I must have said to him 10 times throughout that hour and a half, I'm so sorry, but there won't be time to paint you today. Like, there's no point in you standing there waiting. And I was obviously really polite, but also firm, because he wasn't even like next in the queue. He would have been miles away if he was even there. Um, and yeah, he waited right to the end. And I finished 5 minutes after my time to finish, and I'd said and warned him. He got quite angry, but I still refused to paint. I said, it literally doesn't matter what you say. I'm not going to be painting them, and I told you so many times. But yeah, so
People are
not
bonkers.
particular.
It's just face paint. Why
Yeah,
would he be so committed to getting his face painted?
I know. I don't think the child was even that bothered. I don't. I Yeah, very very odd. But I think over the years as well, perhaps if that had have happened to me when I first started, I probably wouldn't have felt brave enough to stick to my guns and
Mm,
just, but I think you get a lot harder as the years go on, and the more experience you get, and the more experiences like this that you get, and you realize there's always one more and one more and one more, and that one more will never end, and you'll just be there painting forever. Yeah, I'm very consistent. Once I've said no, that's it. No more's getting in. That's it. I'm never going to back
mm.
down. Just because you've said no to so many other people, and it isn't fair. If they happen to be sat in a coffee shop and then see you do another one more that's come along, then that's going to be an issue. So you just have to be consistent.
Yeah.
It's behavior management 101. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
not
I mean,
chaotic, but
I had
very,
this a
very
few weeks
challenging.
ago. Yeah. I had it a few weeks ago where I'd worked past the finish time. I'd already turned so many people away. And I mean, they all say the same. Oh, you've not just got time for one more. You've not just got time for one more. And especially when you've packed half your kit away at this point as well. So you're like, well, no, because then I'd have to get everything back out. And I've also said no to another 10 people. If I say yes to you, it's going to be, and I'm always like, no, I'm really sorry. And you're polite and firm, but people just don't like taking no for an answer, do they?
It's really strange. It's one of the strangest things about the whole thing, I think. I think the worst, because we all have the stories, don't we? Where we've just packed our kit up, all our kit's in the wagon, all our kit's all packed up, it's in a big
Mm,
pile, and people will come and say, "Oh, you're still face painting?" And you kind of look at your kit like, clearly not. The worst one that I had of that, I'd packed all of my kit into the boot of my car, and I was just about to shut the
mm.
boot, and somebody came up and went, "Oh, you're still face painting?" And I just I think I just looked at them and then looked in my boot and just kept looking back and forth. I went, "No, no. Why are you even asking that? I don't understand. I don't
Dear. I
it's like
just,
going up to a shop that's just put the shutters down, turned all the lights off, put the shutters down and a close sign, and then going, 'Are you still open?'
yeah,
It's not a
no,
question, is it?"
evidently not.
You have to laugh. You have to laugh.
What's the Yeah, yes. What's the best piece of advice that you've received in your face painting journey?
I think there's a couple because I've received a lot of advice, a lot of tips and things over the years, and so
Mm,
I think um, one is to use the biggest brush that you can manage because
okay,
you're
I've
going to
not heard that
hold.
one before.
Oh, okay. So I think because I was on a course, I think it was Anna Lingus. Yeah, pretty sure it was Anna Lingus doing her course. And there was some like intricate detail or something, but there was also some
Mm,
like filling in. And I was using quite a small brush, and she came up and said, "Why are you using such a small brush to do that?" And I was like, "Oh, because I've got to do this little intricate bit." And she went, "Yeah, but you could do that with a bigger brush. It's going to be faster. You're going to hold more paint, you're going to hold more product and be able to do it much faster." So she says, always use the biggest brush that
mm,
you can manage. And so now I do. So it's because a lot of it's about pressure. So you don't really need a zero brush or a one brush. You could use a three or a four, but if just use less pressure, you can get the same thin line, but you can hold more product. You can go for a lot
mm,
longer. So your design's going to be faster. Um, so yeah, I always thought that was a really good piece of advice. I think when you're on a job and somebody asks for a design that you don't know, I think people tend to like Google whatever the thing is, face paint, to look for other ideas of how to face paint it. And I just, something that somebody once said to me, don't Google face paint. Google what it is that you want to see. And at that, you could even like, sometimes I'll Google like line drawing of, because then if I can just see it, then I can paint it. But sometimes I think if you just Google face paint, it restricts you a lot. And it also, you're much more likely to like recreate what you've already seen, whereas you might come up with something that looks a bit different, looks better, is just a different take on it. So yeah, if I won't ever Google the whatever it is face paint. I'll always Google whatever it is as a clip art or a line drawing or something else, and then try to create something from that. And then the last thing is to stop, because we all have those designs that you're painting and you think this isn't going as I want, and it's looking awful and it's looking bad, and you kind of, it's really tempting to keep going to try and fix it. Just accept you're never going to fix it. Just stop, mirror moment, send them on their way, and then
just
get
stop.
on to the next one. Just stop. Yeah. And I've definitely used that a lot over the years, because Just, we all have those moments where sometimes it's just not going as you wanted. Put some glitter on it and off they go. Start again.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely started doing that recently because I went through a phase, because I'm still fairly new to face paint. I've only been doing it a year. And I went through a phase of more is more, and I'll just keep putting bits on their face. And then I was, now I just stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, because otherwise
It's
they
the
end up with everything on their face. And
It's the whole less is more thing, isn't it? But, sometimes more is more. But definitely at those times
Mm.
when you can feel that it isn't going to plan, just stop, just cut ties and move on.
So, a new little segment that I've started doing the last few recording sessions to round out the interview is a little quick fire round. So I'm going to ask you some questions and you just answer the first thing. Try not to overthink it. So, tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Favorite paint brand?
Oh, that is really hard because I have a favorite white, I have a favorite one stroke, I have a favorite like rainbow cake. So Superstar, Fusion, Tag, and Silly Farm. I can't. They're all my favourites. They're all my favourites.
Okay. Least favorite thing to paint?
Bluey. I hate painting bluey. The well, as a full face, I just think it looks a bit. And then if you try to actually paint, because I don't really use stencils, so I wouldn't. So just trying to freehand paint a bluey, all the angles and shapes are so particular. If you don't get it exactly right, it doesn't look right. So yeah, no, I don't like bluey. Sorry, that wasn't very quick fire.
That's okay. Glitter or no glitter?
No glitter for me, but I've learnt to accept it. I'll do it, but I don't
Controversial.
personally, I don't like glitter. It's too, but of course I do it, and everybody can have glitter.
What's one design that you could paint forever?
Or probably butterfly or flowers. The butterfly and
The most underrated item in your kit?
I think my cheeky wipes, which are reusable flannels.
Okay.
Yeah, because most people use baby wipes, like disposables. Cheeky wipes or reusable flannels are far superior, but hardly anybody uses them.
Mm.
So I think probably that.
Would you prefer a boiling hot indoor hall in July or an outdoor festival with high winds?
Hot hall. I hate wind. Any event with wind, it's so stressful. Stressful for the gazebo, but stressful for the hair because it doesn't matter how many hairbands and clips and things. There's always little bits. It drives me bonkers. I'm like, no, yeah.
I
I'd
had a
rather
whole
hot
bag of
hall.
sponges disappear into the distance the other day.
Oh no. Yes, wind is stressful. I'd just rather have fans and flannels and things on me if I was hot.
And then last one, what's your favourite item in your face paint kit?
I'd probably say my craft and go. I could pick individual things, but I just love my craft and go. I've got how many have I? I've got 4 craft and goes, but my main kit is my purple craft and go. Yeah, I do love them.
And the colours, they match your brand as well, don't they? So
Yeah,
it's
kind
meant to
of.
be.
Well, my brand's kind of rainbow, as isn't it? So I could have any colour, but yeah, I've got a purple, yellow, and teal standard, and then a mini teal. So yeah, they all kind of match, and they all just go together so nicely.
Well, thank you so, so much for coming on the podcast and for sharing everything, all your advice and experiences. And I think it's going to be a lovely, lovely episode.
Oh, I hope so. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, and I can't really even remember what I've said, so I hope that people find it interesting or helpful in some way. We'll see. Thank you so much.
That's it for today's episode of Sponge Stories. If you found this helpful or it made you think, oh, thank God it's not just me, I'd love for you to share it with another face painter who needs to hear it. Don't forget to follow or subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. There's plenty more real talk and a bit more waffle coming your way. And if you've got a story, a question, or you'd even like to come on the podcast, you can email me at hello@spongecommunity.co.uk or send us a DM over on Instagram, Sponge Stories.